Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So we've got our new Baldor grinders here. We've got them put together and they're ready to be put into service. We've already got them wired in, plugged in, ready to go. We'll give you a little test run so you guys can kind of see what they sound like. But there's a couple of things that I want to do to these grinders before we actually use them. I think that this actually helps improve the quality of the grinder when they're in operation and help eliminate unwanted vibration in both of these units. So I'm gonna pull you in here and show you what we're gonna do, okay? So obviously we've got the guards taken off the pedestal grinder, and then so these are your backup disc or your washers, you know, the flange plates that you have to have that go on each side of your grinding wheel there, okay, like that. That's what supports the wheel. So you have one on each side on for any of these types of grinders here. So these are the backups for the buffer polisher there. And what you need to take notice of this is that these are just simply cast. There's no machining involved with these. So you can run them just the way you are, but you're gonna have a little bit of out of roundness. The faces are not perfectly true with the bore, things like that. So what I like to do with these, I've done this a few times on some other grinders, is take these guys and set them up in the lathe, and you want to true this face on this side and true this face, and make sure that both of those are parallel with each other. And we'll probably also skin this OD there as well, just to kind of eliminate any kind of unbalance with the casting here. All right, so that's what I want to do before we start mounting the wheels up. We're going to start with the 12-inch pedestal grinder here. You can see we've already got the wheels ready to go on that. We'll show you those in a second. But I do want to fire them up so that you guys can hear them run. We've got them mounted to the Baldor pedestals there. So we'll fire this one up. This is a 2 horsepower 3-phase unit, by the way, model number 1215W. Nice and quiet, nice and smooth. That's it. All right, our buffer, this is an 8-inch buffer, model number 330B. It's a 3/4 horsepower and it is 3-phase as well. That one's got a little bit more of a ring to it just because it's being transferred down into this column here, and I think that's kind of what you're hearing. All right, so there's our 2 grinders. Now these are the grinding wheels that I got for the 12-inch. So this is the CGW brand. I thought that these particular wheels were going to be made in USA, but they're not. These are made in Israel. But these are the exact wheels that I run on the Queen City pedestal grinder at the home shop, and they've been good. They just seem to work fine. So this is what we went with. This one is a 36 grit. I mean. This one is a 60 grit, so you have your coarse and your fine, and this is a good, just a good range of abrasive for both roughing your high speed and then finishing there as well. All right, so I think that's about it. On the buffer, I ordered the wrong wheel. These are the Scotch-Brite wheels that I like to run on it, but I ordered the 2-inch wide, and that's too wide for this. It needs to be the 1-inch. By the time you put your backups on there, and well, by the time you put the 2 backups on there, there's no room for the nut to tighten that up. So I've reordered this into the 1-inch width, and I'm going to send these back. We've also got the wire brush that I plan on running this other side, but I'm going to be making some nylon spacers that go on each side of that, so that whenever it's pulled up, it's actually pulled up nice and true to the center flange there. So we're going to work on this one after we finish getting the 12-inch pedestal grinder up and running. So I've already got this one faced right here. That's why that one looked machined. I set the 3-jaw chuck up and started there. So what we'll do is we'll do this on all 4 of them, and once we get this side faced, I'm going to actually machine a little fixture that these guys will go up on. We'll take a piece of stock, turn it to a shoulder, and push it up against this face since this is machined, and then we'll use a nut. I brought another 1.25-inch nut that we can use to just simply pull this up flat against that face, and then once we do that, Machine this face, that way it's true with the other side and both sides are parallel. And then we'll skin the OD around there as well. These bores, like I said, this is all just cast, so they're not perfect. They've already got these guys 10 thousandths oversized, so I really don't want to bore these out anymore, because then you're going to have some off-center action there as well. So they're already loose enough as it is. I did deburr them with the Noga deburr tool because they have like a sharp edge there on that side. So to kind of eliminate any kind of run out there, we just kind of scrape that out. But we'll start with that, and then I do want to take the two nuts as well, and I want to true one of the faces up. When you run this up as it is, up against this flange, the faces are not true with the threads on the inside. So to eliminate that, just machine you a fixture. You can thread this up on it and have this one side where it's sticking out, and then just go ahead and face one side. That way that face would be true with your threads. So a few little things that I'm going to be doing to try to help improve the quality of this grinder when we're up and running. Make sure any the rolled edges are in between the chuck jaws here. Try to eliminate anything, any stick out that we don't need. And what I did on the first one, I just took 10 thousandths. Just touch off. We're going to zero that. Just one face cut, that should be all we need there. So that's all four for the 12-inch grinder. While we've got the 3-jaw set up this way, I'm going to go ahead and grab the smaller flanges and face those off as well. We've got a piece of 1 3/4 1045 steel in there. We're going to use this to turn our fixture. So we'll turn it back to a 1 1/4 journal and then machine some threads on there for a nut to be able to hold it. Take it a 125 a pass. Just trying to do some caliper measurements on this to kind of speed it up. Doesn't have to be accurate. Not that accurate anyway. Just shoot for somewhere around 255. Let's see, that might work right there. Yeah, we're gonna take a little bit more. It's not quite there. thinking that would have went on there, but we're not dealing with a perfectly straight hole in those pieces. All right, we know that, and we'll go on. So I'm trying to keep the bore close as we can, so when we turn the OD, it'll be pretty true to that ID. Just check all four, make sure all four will go. See, like that one there, see that one won't go because it's a different bore than the other ones. It's kind of tapered, see? They only go on there a little bit. We may just do that one last, if this one will go on there. Nope. So you got two that want to be stubborn and different. We're going to be right at 1.25 inches, aren't we? Let's go ahead and a few more thousandths, and we'll go ahead and face it on this pass here. I think that's going to work right there. Yep. Okay. So we'll go ahead and turn it and thread it for our 1.25 inch nut. I'm using a radius insert there just to create a thread relief. And it's probably going to be a little fast. Let me slow it down. Try 380. This is a Walter tool and insert I'm using. This is the first time I'm using this radius. Man, that thing is cutting nice and free too. Use a little bit of oil just to kind of help lubricate it. Go a couple 100,000ths deep. Heck yeah, that insert worked great. I've got a few different inserts for this Walter tool, so we can do some grooving, radius cuts, and threading all with the same tool there. So that looks pretty good. That did a nice job on that radius. We're going to be machining a 7-pitch thread across that. So I put the blue on there so you could see it a little bit easier, and we've got it touched off. I've got all my zeros set. So let's do a scratch pass and check it. And 7-pitch, that means what we'll do is we'll line up on either 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the threading dial over here. Would have helped if I would have fed that in just a little bit. Let me do that again. Yeah, we got that zero approach alarm on the DRO activated, so that's why you hear the little beeps. All right, so there's a 7. There's your thread pitch gauge, so looks like we're cutting a 7. So let's go for it. I'm not worried about any flood coolant on this. We may use a little bit of cutting oil here in a bit. About 10,000ths a pass. I think we've got it, I calculated around 93 thousandths or so. I like the way that. I think I messed up there. It's definitely not looking right. I think I engaged it, I forced it in, and it wasn't actually lined up with the number there, so that's why I'm just chasing it again. but because we're not at the full depth there, we still got material to come off. It's gonna be okay. Yeah, I think what I did was I split it. But for what we're doing here, just making a little mandrel, we're not really concerned about that. So let's just keep on going with it here. And I'm gonna go ahead and put just a little bit of cutting oil on there. 0. Yeah, that's what it was. It engaged just past the number. Get into these coarser threads, that dial moves pretty quick, and we're only running 250 RPM on this. All right, probably got more to go here, but I've got this brass nut that I brought. Yeah, we still got quite a ways to go there.
Yep, I need to come down. Still get used to this lathe. It didn't fall in the way I wanted it to there. So give myself a little run out room here before the thread starts so that you can pull that lever back.
Seeing if there's a difference between this factory nut and that bronze nut that I got. Still need a few thou. Looks like that might have been enough right there. I think so. Got to screw it on there and that's all we need. Let's check, let's see if our factory nut fits also, because I want to use this to face this guy off as well. Yep. So the other thing we're going to do, I think I mentioned this already, we're going to put this on there. I'm going to have to do a left-hand thread as well, and I just want to face this off on one side at least. We'll do it with our bronze nut there, just for fun. Just clean it up a few thousandths. At least we got one face there that's true with the threads. This is an old bronze nut that we've used for years on other mandrels just like this that we're making. I took it off one of the other ones. So let's go ahead and start facing them off. So let's go ahead and get that one on there. Let me make sure there ain't no chips on there. All right, I need to get a wrench. Just a little bit like that. All right. All right, so here's unmachined. All right, so we can see that we definitely have a little bit of run out on our OD there. The face isn't bad because we pushed it up against this face to face the back side there. So we'll true this face up, turn the OD, and that should be all we need on these. So since we got 4 of these to do, I'm going to try to establish a Z0 position on the first face here. We'll get it cleaned up with it, take about 10 thousandths off and 0 our DRO, and that should be pretty close. And then we'll also turn the OD at the same time. Once we get the OD turned, I'll just have a 0 position that we can bring this OD to every time for the other 3. All right, make sure we were in face mode there. All right, let's see, Z0, let's try 10 thousandths. I'm gonna go ahead and 0 that again. right, that looks good. Cleaned it up nicely. Let's go ahead and back off and let's do our OD now. All right, so OD, you can see running out quite a bit. Now this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, try to true these up, eliminate some out of balance on them. So just getting things set here. This is 10. Clearly not cleaned up. There's another 10. It's got about half of it, so we may be taking 40 thousandths off this. $30. Still got a low spot all right here. There's 40. Almost got it cleaned up there. Yep, still a low spot right there. Let's take another 10. This is 50. That's about got it cleaned up. It's still got some low spots right in there. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and take 10 more. That'll be a 16th total off of touch off. And I'm gonna slow it down. So we're gonna bump this in the S. 10. Yeah, that looks good there. Now while I'm up here, I'm gonna 0 X 0. All right, so now we got our two 0 positions for our face and our OD to go to. That looks nice. We'll go ahead and take this tool out and hit it with a chamfer. Just break that corner off. Take that tool out of the way. I'm going to take some gray Scotch-Brite here and just give that a little polish. All right, so there's our first one done. It's no way perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than just as cast. There's still some undercuts right up in there from the casting. You know, if you wanted to get them perfect, you could cut this angle on the back there as well, but I think just doing our face and our OD is going to help tremendously on the run out and the balance of this grinder. All right, so there we go. First one done, and we'll repeat that 3 more times. So all 4 of our flanges are now faced on both sides and turned on the OD. Real happy with the way those turned out. And then we're going to go ahead, since we got the right hand threads cut, we'll go ahead and set the nut up onto the fixture. Actually, that's the left hander right there. This is the right hander. And we'll go ahead and face one side of the nut there so that whenever it's threading on there, both of the face should pull up nice and parallel to each other. So we'll do this, and then we'll probably take that piece of material and flip it around and go ahead and turn it and thread it left-hand thread so that we can do the same thing on this nut there. We've got this snugged up there on our fixture. Now let's see what kind of out of true we're getting. All right, there's our touch off. Z. This is 5. Didn't clean it up with 5/1000ths. Looks like it's going to take 10 to get it clean. There we go. So just 10/1000ths, and that clean that face up nice and true. So it should be true with the threads now. So I'm working on the left-handed threads now. Just give you some video of that while I'm working on it. Should be getting close to our depth here, so just make a pass and check it. Come on. It needs a little more, but I think I got it. There we go. Yep. Good enough for what we're going to do. Just face that thing off. So we got those done. That was 5/1000ths. Looks like it pretty well cleaned it up. Still got those initials stamped in there. Take another 5. Just take 10 total. All right, that should be good. I'm gonna take our Scotch-Brite. Just get the dust off the face there, smooth it out some. All right. Come on. You know what? Going the wrong way, aren't I? Put this into a low gear. There we go. Helps if you go the right way. All right, left-handed nut now faced off, so we've got our pair of right and left-hand nuts ready to assemble. We're ready to start putting these together, so when these wheels come, they'll have these plastic reducer bushings in the bore there where it reduces it down to 1 inch, so we have to take the center bushings out here so that it has our 1 1/4 bore. These can be a little tricky to get on to the shaft, but we'll go ahead and start on that. Still got to take these out, but we're going to go ahead and start assembling the fine wheel side now. All right, let's see if we can get the right side on there. I will point out that it is unplugged, so we're not under any power here. Start with one of our backing plates here. And let's see if we can get one of our bushings on there. That's where it gets a little tricky. I'm going to see if I'm going to use that to get it started up on there. All right, we got our grinding wheel. And our other bushing. Let's see if we can use this to just draw it up in there. There we go. Okay. Let me get a wrench and just torque that a little bit. All right, these don't take a lot of torque. You just want to get them snug. And it's a little tricky to do anyway since it's on a rotating shaft there. So let me see if I can. Hold the wheel. I'm just going to use this soft blow. Just a little bit, just like that, a couple little knocks. So far it's looking pretty straight. So that should be good for that side there. Always make sure you leave your the paper on there. I believe that's called blotters there. So keep those so that you're not pushing against the abrasive material. It's looking good. So we'll go ahead and move on to the left side here now. In case you missed it, there's a tension pin that they drive into a drilled hole in the shaft. That's what lines up with this key slot here. Bushing. It is tapered on the OD, so just make sure you put it on the right way. That's just cardboard stuck to the wheel there. There we go. All right, need to get a picture. All right, the left-handed nut faced side on. And hold the wheel, just bump it a couple times with the soft blow. That should be more than enough to hold that wheel. Looking pretty good. All right, we just need to get our guards bolted back on, and when we do, we'll fire it up and see how it runs. Now we'll go ahead and put on these guards as well. These get bolted on right there, and you adjust them down to the right to the face of the wheel. That helps block the sparks that's coming around the wheel back down to the work surface there. Let me go ahead and get these on before we fire it up. I will say that the grinder does come with the eye shields right here in this box. And I used these before on the other grinder that I used to run just like this, and it got to where they were just ended up being a nuisance, and they never got used. They got pushed back out of the way. And the other thing is that they both require a 120 receptacle for the light, which I could have done over here. Could have had the electrician help me wire in a box, but I just wasn't concerned about that. So I'm probably just going to keep these guys in the box and tape that back up and just keep them separated and not worry about having that eye shield down here in front of the grinder. If this was a shop where there was a bunch of employees, a bunch of people working using this grinder, I would put them on there and that would be used. But just me by myself, I'm going to run it just like this here. So let's see, I think those are also 9/16. You know what would be a good idea, actually? It's kind of ridiculous that these things are so tall, but they're made to compensate for wear, so you can bring this thing down. But I think these are made to be used on like maybe the 10-inch grinders as well. This wouldn't be a bad thing to just machine a new one and just have a short one to where it's not sticking up out of the grinder like that. Just have a short version with the slots mounted on there, because these things wear pretty slowly, especially for the amount of use that I put on the grinders. So it's pretty rare that you're having to adjust these at all. Get it down there just above the face of the wheel. Making sure that it's not binding up on the wheel. That's looking pretty good right there. So I'm going to repeat this on the other side and we'll be all finished up. All right, we got the spark shields on there. Our guards are on. We are ready to test. This part makes me nervous. I'm gonna bump it first really quickly and just make sure everything's good, and then we'll turn it on full blast. Yeah, I can see we're definitely gonna have to work on truing them. We'll have to true them up later once we get it. Well, it's ready, but we'll have to true the wheels. I'm gonna let that thing run for a couple of minutes just like that to prove out those wheels before we actually do anything with it. All right, we've been running for about 2.5 minutes now. Everything seems good. We still got to adjust our tool rest up close to the face, get it on center line, but we just about got this guy ready to go. So I fired it up again after that last video, and I was getting sort of a vibration or squeal sound. I thought maybe it was the motor, but what it's doing is, because this concrete is not flat, whenever it fires up, it's actually vibrating on the floor until it gets to full speed. So I wanted to put it on 3 points there to see if it eliminated it, and it did. So we've got the front just sitting on that piece of wood there, and we'll fire it up again so you can see what I'm talking about. It's nice and smooth now. There it is. So it's just vibration in the base where only 3 feet. You got 1 foot that's just barely making contact with the floor. So when it first fires up, because those wheels aren't perfectly true on the OD, it's just making it shake a little bit. So that's just something that I'm gonna have to work on there. I think that once we get it where I know exactly where I want to put it, we'll probably just go ahead and use some red heads or something to bolt it down there to the floor. I'm gonna see if I can't true up the face of these wheels a little bit. So we're using I've got this Desmond #1. This is the Huntington style of wheel dresser. And I think I'm gonna order the number 21. It's actually a wider face on there to see if I can try to get most of this at one time. But what you do, we've got the tool rest all the way out, and you just hook the bottom of it and just lean into it like that and just run back and forth across there for a few seconds to pass and try to true that up. It's also important to do this periodically whenever you've been using the grinding wheel as well, because using a wheel dresser actually removes the contaminants that's built up into the face of the wheel there. So let's see if we can get it trued up. That ain't good. Let me go tighten this bolt up. hard to tell if I've got it perfectly true or not. It's probably going to need a little bit more, but I'll continue to work on it. Let's go ahead and go to the fine side and do that one too. All right. We'll let her slow down there and see how we did on truing the OD up. I can still see a little bit over that one, so I'll probably have to go there again. That's why I want to go ahead and get the wider one so I can get a little bit more cut each time I'm pressing in there. I don't know if you can see it on that one needs a little bit on that side. And this one over here on this side, still got a little bit. That's better than it was though. All right, we got both of the tool rest adjusted up to the diameter of the wheel. And I believe I got them dressed pretty well there too, so it seems like they're running pretty darn true. I went ahead and readjusted these because we did take just a little bit off of diameter there when we dress it. Go ahead and fire it up. There we go. It's sounding good, and it seems like it's running nice and true. All right, well now what we need is some tool bits. I actually don't have any high speed here yet, so I'm gonna close up for the day. I'm gonna come back in the morning. I'm gonna bring some tool bits, maybe a couple drill bits, and we'll go ahead and put our Baldor to its first test, grinding some high speed steel. All right guys, it's the next morning. I've got some tool bits here, and we're gonna go ahead and do our first test grind on the new Baldor 12-inch pedestal grinder. I got some tool bits and some drill bits, some stuff that I can start working on. Let me show you what we got here. So I grabbed just an assortment of some new old stock high-speed steel tool bits from the home shop there, ranging from 1 inch all the way down to 3/16. So there's a mixture of Cleveland Momax Cobalt and some Rex 95, so just different grades of tool steel there. And grinding these types of tool bits is one of the main reasons why I want a good pedestal grinder here in the shop. In addition to that, also grinding drill bits there as well. Most of these larger bits I always do by hand, so I've got a few of them here. A couple of these in here were some that were passed down to me, some viewers had given. So we got a 1 5/8 right there, and you can see that is definitely needs a regrind on that one. I believe this is a 1 15 that somebody has ground that needs to be touched up, and a few other ones. This is just a new one here that I brought down to have for the lathe, and a couple more here. This is one that I had ground flat years ago for trying to do a flat bottom in some parts that we were machining in a horizontal board mill, 1.5 inch national. So that would be a good drill to regrind and have it ready to go for the shop here. Also found one of my good classic Cleveland twist drill, or this is the Cleforge anyway, but yeah, Cleveland twist drill drill gauge. So the 59 degree drill point, this is what you would use for all your general purpose drill points, and then you've also got a gauge there to check other angles as well. So anyway, gauge for using for grinding drills. So I'll set you up, and we're going to go ahead. What I want to do is to start with a piece of Rex 95 1/2 inch. I'm going to grind a simple chamfering tool to use on the lathe over here on the new grinder. All right, that's just a general idea of the grind that we're going to make on the end of this tool, and then we'll give it some relief as well so that I can use it for up inside of a bore. All right, here we go, first grind. We got our coarse side that we'll start with. that's cutting nicely. Taking it off pretty easily. Yeah, that's working good right there. Just using some eyeball calibration there to kind of get a good 90, nothing critical. It's just to do some chamfering with. All right, so our 36 grit is working great. That roughed that out really quick. So we're gonna move over to the fine wheel and finish it out. Well, actually, I tell you what, before we do, let's go ahead and give this some relief under the bottom there. All right, we'll just touch this up over here on the fine side. I'm wanting to go all the way across the face, just kind of even out the wheel there as well, since we just dressed it. That's doing a great job there. So basically done with that. Just a simple chamfering grind. So just give it a simple hone across the top there, just using an Arkansas stone. Hone the edges. This guy is ready for lathe work. Well, our new Baldor 12-inch pedestal grinder is finished up and it is ready for service. The new wheels, the new dressed wheels, did an excellent job on grinding that Rex 95 high-speed steel. I'm glad I went with the 36 grit for the course. As I mentioned, these are the same brand of wheels that I've had on the Queen City grinder for about 12 years now, but I couldn't remember what grits that we decided to buy whenever we got those, and I don't want to take them off to get to the blotters just to see what the grit is. So I just went with my best judgment, knowing that I wanted a coarse wheel and a fine wheel on the other side to clean up the tools, and I think these are going to work really good. So this one is ready to go, ready for some service. Later on, whenever we get to the other project of adding a little water pot there and maybe a tool tray, that'll be a fun little shop project that we can work on later to kind of mod this pedestal out. I'll show that with you. And of course, we still have our 8-inch pedestal there, or the buffer that I need to work on. I'm going to do the same kind of setup on that, getting the wire wheel on there and the Scotch-Brite, and I'll just follow up on that later, maybe like in an S&S episode, and show you what we do for the 8-inch buffer there. But that's it. Another thing to keep in mind is, you know, I've got these grinders on just about the furthest away that I can from most of my machines. It's actually closest to the Precision Matthews lathe, but it's always a good idea to try to keep your grinding and abrasive machines separate from your other machine tools, like your lathes, mills, and any of your CNC machines. Ideally in a separate room where it kind of keeps the dust contained, but this is the best option that I had, was try to keep it over here as far away from the machines as I can. And I'm just going to try to keep it cleaned up here. Got a shop vac to clean up the dust where we do our dressing and grinding, but eventually this is going to start getting kind of dirty over here from our grinding. But anyway, that's just part of it, part of making a shop useful and start to get it worn in, you know. But anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we've got plenty of more projects to work on, so I hope I see you again very soon. All right.